This is my February small cap trading recap. Now, for everyone that doesn't know, that means that's everything below a 1 billion market cap. And this is normally me shorting day one gappers, which means the first day of the gap up. And a gap up is normally from previous close to open. And normally I'm looking for anything above really 40% or so. Depends on the market cycle though. I'm also Manir, also known as Ghost Org Trades. I also run unbiased trading. And let's get straight into this review of my month. Now, with most of these videos, they're going to be a bit more ranty, just because they're kind of off the cuff. I just give you kind of my opinion on the month overall after I've already kind of completed my review. Now, we finished the month up around 9,800. Now, after locates, I believe that gets it down to about $8,900. So still a really strong month, but I was almost up, I think, 12K at one point, and it really came down after these kind of like last 2 weeks, basically. So we'll go through that, and we'll go through the whole process, how I felt about the month, but overall a green month, so I have to be thankful for that. Let's get straight into it. So first, here's the equity curve. So luckily this month I didn't start red or anything, pretty much shot straight up into the green, which was, at least nice on the mental side of things. However, at the end of the month, I couldn't really catch a break, and I couldn't catch any good trades, and the trades I did catch, I just lost on basically really quickly. So it was a bit unlucky, but overall, still, as you can see, it was upward trending, so I'm not too worried, and I think this month was a really kind of hot month to some extent. There was a lot of 100% gappers, at least in my opinion. Now, were they the best for fading? Not really, but there still was a lot of activity, which at least gives us good signs that we're going to get maybe a bit more activity next month as well. Next is the stats. So these stats are all from TraderSync. That's what I personally use to upload just my broker statements basically to it, or I guess broker trades into it. And yeah, this is where we get all these kind of stats automated. I also do keep an Excel of kind of my own little custom ones that I want to track sometimes. But primarily, TraderSync does a great job at just kind of all the key ones that I normally use just automatically get done. So we can see the biggest profit was $3,787. This was a killer trade. I'll show you in just a bit. Biggest loss was $925, which kind of sucked. I got slipped a bit on it and just wasn't really a fun trade. Profit to loss ratio was 3.2 to 1. Win rate was about 50%. Now, this is quite notable because 50% win rate for me is quite low, to be honest. Normally, I'm trying to range between like the 60 to 70%, so we can definitely see I kind of suffered more this month and wasn't overly a great month for performance anyway. 6 total winners, 6 total losers. My average hold time for a winner was about 6 hours, and I believe my average hold time for a loser was about 8 minutes, so you can see the drastic kind of change there. Max consecutive wins was 2, and max consecutive losses was 3. 3 also being quite high for me normally. I'm normally in the 2 range. If we get into the 4, then we know it's a really tough month, and 3 is like, kind of on that border. So first is largest win. This was on JXJT, just basically shorted the open, and it just faded. I think there was maybe even some dilution on this, but it was just an incredible trade overall. We got it from about $8 all the way down to $3. Just an insane fade. And there was another one like this that's going to be on the next slide. And instead of showing you my biggest loss this month, which to be honest wasn't anything that eventful, I just got slipped on a halt, and that's pretty much it. Overall, I just exited straight away after the halt unhalted, and I had a bit of an extra loss on it. But one thing I did want to go over was something called a really big missed opportunity, and that was IFBD. This man, well, I guess this ticker has been haunting me for the kind of past couple of days, because yeah, this was just an incredible miss on my part. To be honest, I played it perfectly on how my system tells me to play it, and this definitely was an outlier trade, but don't get me wrong, it still hurts. This faded from $6 to like $1. It was an 80% fade. It was an insane fade. I know some traders that I'm really good friends with that caught like a majority of it. So obviously you get a bit of jealousy in there, FOMO anyway from it. But yeah, how I played it out on this one, it was 100% gapper. So normally my routine on that is if it's 100% gapper, I'm shorting basically at the open with a tighter stop, and that was about 12% on this particular ticker. I pretty much got top ticked. It pretty much went through top tick, and then it just faded ever since basically my stop out. Now, if I was more discretionary, I could say that, hey, this means I need to change my approach. This means, because I missed this one opportunity, I should always increase my stops to 15%, or, because this particular circumstance on this stock, I should change this and change this and change this. At least for me, that's never worked. That just leads to overfitting, and realistically, you just go into a cycle of constantly changing things again to try and catch this one trade that you missed. You just kind of have to accept that you missed it. Now, that's not to say that maybe you could create a different strategy or a different setup to capture some of these trades, but in my personal opinion, unless you went down the SEC filing route with a tool I created recently, like Ask Edgar, or if you even use some of the kind of older tools to look into it. A friend of mine who was also a great trader, Jason, was explaining to me how there was like a different thing about the dilution on it, and that was maybe a particular reason why it faded so much. So if you want to go down that route, that's totally chill. I think there's probably some really good explanations of why it did fade this much. In a data perspective, at least for me, historically, most of these trades, if I'm having a 12% stop, I should be, if it goes higher than a 12%, most of the time it's closing green or it's not fading that much. So the opportunity cost on it is basically perfect for me because it's either going to close green, so that means it would be an unprofitable trade, or it's not going to fade as much, so it's not going to affect my P&L as much. And this was the very rare circumstance where, obviously it faded a lot. And I think looking back at my data, this was pretty much the only ticker that ever faded 80% plus that also ran 12% from open, at least on my data set. So, it's an outlier trade. There's nothing you can really do to it. You can't create a whole strategy to then, go for these outliers. Well, actually, I'll take that back. You technically can. It's just quite difficult to do because obviously the outliers, the lower sample count, more variance and volatility in them overall. Definitely is possible, but definitely not the easiest thing to do, at least on a data perspective. But yeah, I thought this was a main trade I kind of want to point out because I think older me, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, this would have probably caused a blow up. Now, luckily, this trade faded. So if I had revenge traded this, this would have worked perfectly. I would have thought I was a genius and would have thought, hey, nice, good job on me that I shorted this again. I didn't miss the opportunity. But, the next time this maybe happens, it's going to be, what's the tick that went crazy recently? Anyway, you get the point. The next kind of one could actually be one that, moves 100% plus on the upside, and I take multiple trades and blow up overall, or, take 5 odd losses like I've done previously in the past. So I'm happy that I stuck to my guns, that I didn't, revenge trade this or take a second trade, but definitely this one sucked. Now, my takeaways for the month was, even though it was a profitable month, I would still, thinking back on it, I think it's still a bit of a tough month, losing about $3,000 from the top of what I was at in the month. It didn't feel great. I missed, I think, one trade, and that was mainly because I was very busy this month, so I can't really take that too much to heart, at least on that one. You're going to miss opportunities, but luckily my strategy is more built around win rate, which means I'm less reliant on one really good trade to make up a ton of losses, which is also why I prefer this sort of method where we're focusing on more higher win rate strategies, or edges at least, compared to higher R strategies, which still can work and be very profitable, and I know some people that do great with them. But yeah, that definitely sucked a bit and definitely got to my mental. Now I stuck to the strategy, but it didn't feel great. And I think this is a really important thing I want to touch on, is sticking to a strategy rarely is going to feel like the right move. Sometimes you'll feel in a month where it's a killer month, you're like, this is amazing, this is why I stick to the strategy, this is why I'm profitable and things like that, and that's a great feeling. But other times it's going to feel like shit, to be honest. You're going to be like, oh, I missed out on this opportunity because I didn't have a strategy on it, or oh, look, I could have got more gains on this because if I changed this, I would have done better. Always looking on a one trade per trade basis, you're going to feel like this, and it's just going to feel shit. So my best advice, at least on that, or how I approach it, is trying to take a step back, really trying to just treat it as, these 100 trades, as these 50 trades, and not really going on a one-by-one trade basis. And, IFBD was probably the most recent ticker in the past maybe year that's really got to me, that I missed out on that opportunity. You just do not see an opportunity like that often with an 80% fade. So that I think that's an important note, to think that when you're executing well, your results will show you that you're executing well, but it maybe won't feel great. You'll probably feel like you could have made some extra money, or you could have not lost some money here, but that doesn't actually really matter in the long run. It matters over the 100 trades, and then you're sticking to your execution and your strategy. Now, I didn't size up as planned. To be honest, I think this was a good move. Now, obviously, maybe this is me coping and giving an excuse for myself, but I was very busy this month, so I didn't want to size up when I wasn't fully prepared to take on that extra risk. Now, I do think next month, if I don't size up, then that will definitely be a problem and be something I need to look into, of why I'm not sizing up, or, what is potentially causing me to not feel ready to put on that extra size, whether that is something I need to do in the background, or, reset some of my mental or set up processes so that I can really get into sizing up again, like I did before. But yeah, that's at least one point where I think I could have done a bit better. And then I thought the last note that I can just put here is rinse and repeat. Trading is a long game. It's not there's a lot of fluctuations on a daily basis, but when you zoom out, it's really just rinse and repeat, and you're just keeping at it with whatever your strategy is or whatever you're modeling, and kind of creating new strategies and things like that over that time and adapting. And that's kind of the motto I wanted to put for this month. Kind of sucked as a month, wasn't amazing, but let's get on to the next month and do again, and keep on that really good execution, and that should be I'll let the results speak for themselves. Obviously, if next month I execute really well and I'm still red, then hey, it still speaks to that I was able to minimize my losses and keep them to just the strategy system. But if I have a great month, then that also goes to the execution side of things as well. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed, please like and share it with anyone else who might be interested, and let me know how you found your February month in the comments below.